Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, a little bit of house cleaning here. I've recently started a second or a third tarot channel. I have a second one called Tarot of the Seven Seas. I do international, mostly EU-based readings on that channel. Check it out if you're interested. Also started a channel called Twin Tarot with Gary and David, where my identical twin brother Gary and myself read tarot cards just like this one, but you get twice the fun with twins. If you haven't checked it out yet, check it out. It's similar to this, but just amplified because there's two of us, the talking magpies. Giving you a heads up on that one. Readings. Gary and I do the readings on a Saturday. I go over to his house, or he comes over here, and we'll do 4 or 5 readings and post them up during the week. So this week coming up on Twin Tarot is going to be the Supreme Court immunity ruling. That's going to go up tonight for Monday, just in case they actually get around to it. We're going to do a Trump health status. He's been under a lot of stress. How's that impacting his physical health? And then later on in the week, we're going to ask, Lauren Boebert, at the end of June, she's up in a primary in District 4 of Colorado. Is she going to win that primary and be reelected in November? And then finally, about Judge Eileen Cannon, with the latest rulings that she has, is this finally going to be what takes her down and gets her removed? So if any of those topics sound interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe to Twin Tarot with Gary and David and hit the notification bell, and you'll get the heads up when those come on. They will come up on midnight Pacific time, just like my videos do. It's just a different channel. Okay? All right. And a public service announcement on to this video. Sorry I didn't wear the purple hat for that one. MAGA has been absolutely unhinged. And I'm okay with that. I was kind of describing it to Shell this morning when we were talking. It's like somebody's knocked down the hornet's nest. And all the hornets are coming out. They're angry, they're pissed, they're swarming, and there's nothing to sting. There's no organization. There's no there's no bear. I should say beehive as opposed to hornets. But there's like no bear there. There's no enemy to focus your attack on. So they're just kind of flailing, trying to find somebody. And part of this is just because, well, they're very emotional. And there's a bit of chink in the armor. Donald Trump, their orange Jesus, if you will, has been convicted of 34 felonies. And he could likely go to prison. And they don't know how to handle this. They're losing their mud. And don't doubt, they're angry right now and they threw a bunch of money at him. But don't doubt that depression is going to set in. The reality of this situation is going to set in. Right now, they're in the denial and anger stage. But acceptance is coming. And when acceptance happens, their energy is lowered because they're pulled back into reality with the rest of us. Guess what? In a court case where facts matter, where evidence and facts and objective reality matter, Trump's message falls flat. Because that's propaganda. That's illusion. It doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And they're finding that out. Now, what's really interesting is watching the divorce between the Republican Party and the Freedom Caucus and the MAGA factions. Larry Hogan, who is running for the Senate in Maryland, before the verdict was announced, said that the American people should respect the jury's verdict. Okay? Something wildly controversial like that. When the verdict came out, Laura Trump said, this is today on Sunday, that Larry Hogan doesn't deserve the respect of any Republican after he urged Americans to respect the verdict in Donald Trump's hush money trial before it was delivered. So, all he's saying is trust in the judicial process. Trust that that is not corrupt, and that's what makes America great, is our judicial system. Well, it didn't go Laura Trump's way. And she just thinks it's ridiculous that Larry Hogan would say trust in the judicial system. Hogan said it, quoting Hogan here, last week, Hogan urged Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process. At this dangerously divided moment in our history, all leaders, regardless of party, must not pour fuel onto the fire with more toxic partisanship. We must reaffirm what has made this nation great, the rule of law. To which Laura Trump said that's ridiculous. His statement was ridiculous. She did then say the American people came out, and in 48 hours after Donald Trump's verdict was read, our campaign in the RNC raised $70 million in digital fundraising, which she translated to mean that I think that was a very quick, rapid, and strong response from the American people that it has gone way too far. The American people are upset, and they spoke out against it. Well, that's because they don't know what to do. So, yeah, of course Trump was there with a big pillowcase and said, fill it full of cash, because that's who he is. Mo Brooks, he's under attack too. He had a post up on X. It says, at real Donald Trump, guilty of 34 felonies per jury of 12 random citizens, none sought job. GOP faces choice. USA future at stake. Keep Trump as nominee and gamble on USA's future, or replace Trump with a good character nominee and beat the stew out of Biden. Mo Brooks also was out there saying that he wants to remove Mitch McConnell as the GOP leader. Well, McConnell always says he's going to step down, so it's kind of, you're a little late to the party there, Mo. But Mo's trying to run for a Senate position that he would take in 2025 should he win. But the whole point of reading all those, the division in the Republican Party is real. You've got Trumpers and non-Trumpers, and the cracks and the fissures are there. So let's take a look at the GOP and what's happening with it and its extremist faction to the right. Okay. There could be all sorts of ways to go with this one, but let's start with there and see where it takes us. Okay. Entertainment purposes only. What's going on with the divorce and the GOP? The separation, at least, between the extremists and the non-extremists in that group. The star card. There's your two factions. You've got the factions that are for that band together, and then you've got the factions that are in it for themselves. Let's just assign this as the conservatives and this as the extremists. The conservatives, they're mainstream. They're part of the collective. The extremists are on the fringe. Sometimes they merge in, sometimes they don't. The two cups came from the same pool, but once they were in the jugs, they decided to go in different paths. This one's going to be that recycling of similar candidates, similar ideas. These are the folks that are out there on the extreme. Crossed with nostalgia. Once upon a time, these factions got along. They came from the same pool. Sadly, that pool was, let's resist everything Barack Obama is going to do. That's where it came from. Let's resist everything Barack Obama is going to do. That's where they were united. But once they got Trump in there, the whole vibe changed. Because now the extremists got an extremist candidate in there that was willing to listen and implement that with his MAGA policies. And they got that power, and they won't compromise. And not only do they learned not to compromise with Democrats, but now they don't want to compromise with Republicans, which is why you have rhinos. Underneath it all is the high priestess. Again, the division, the black and white division within the Republican Party. They were able to hold it together when they worked together, and they worked together to basically shield their ideals from the Democrats. But once they were asked to build something on their own, come up with their own ideals, then the two factions were greatly separated and they could not agree on anything. They had control of the presidency and Congress for a couple of years. They got nothing done. They gave a tax break to really, really wealthy people and corporations, and allowed corporations to take money back into the U.S., which they used for stock buybacks. That's what they managed to accomplish. Not exactly the little man thing. But now with Trump and his legal issues, the days of their cooperation are long gone. It's a nostalgic, little naive, oh, that was a wonderful summer romance that we had, and it's done. In the past, Seven of Pentacles, they had money coming in, they had shared money, they had shared values. Again, the extremists had their values that were off the beaten path, but I think the Republican Party humored them because it's like, as long as we've got the main bush, we can throw the occasional bone out to the extremists. But now the extremists have turned into a cult. They don't represent the United States or Americans. They represent Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is politically not a very viable candidate, and things are getting worse. This is what I mean. Current situation is the Justice card. With Trump now being convicted of 34 felonies, something has fundamentally changed. The party of law and order, of personal responsibility and accountability, is at a crossroads. How do you use that mantra of we are the party of law and order, and then you don't support the law, you don't support the court case? You can't. It's hypocritical. This is not a case like we're going back 100 years where you have some black teenager named Emmett Till, being railroaded by an all-white jury. Yeah, the jury found him guilty on a crime he didn't commit. A lot of black men face that, still face that today. It's better, but it's not even remotely close to being perfect, as we see when we get all these charity groups that come in and re-represent them in cases and get them exonerated and taken out of prison. Where's it going with this? But basically now that the party of law and order, you either respect the law or you don't. And what you're finding out is when you're in a cult, you don't have to respect the law except when it's convenient for you. But they will never respect the law if it's being applied to dear leader. And now there's that's why there's a divorce happening here, because, and Bo, the fifth column, again, explained it this morning beautifully. I'll put a link in the description. He was basically saying, especially for Republican senators in battleground states or states where it's a fairly close mixture of Republicans and Democrats, they're in a pickle because Trump and Lara Trump and Donald Trump, the MAGAs want them to say that this, Donald Trump should never be held accountable. Ignore the court cases. That's not going to play well with independents and people who still respect the judicial system and the legal system in this country. Never mind the Democrats. Let's talk about the independents and not non-crazy conservatives. If you do denounce the thing, you're going to turn them off. If you support that, you're going to keep them engaged, and then the MAGA people are going to look at you as a never Trumper, and they won't vote for you. Or at least their support for you will be greatly reduced. To them, they won't bother. They'll leave that box unchecked as they go to the ballot to vote for Trump for president. So they're in a hard place, between a rock and a hard place there. And that helps the Democrats because they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. Which means that maybe more Democrats win the Senate, and it's a more blue Senate, which allows for more legislation to get passed. Overarching energy is the emperor. It's time. It's time for Republican leaders to stand up. It's time for Republicans in this House and the Senate to stand up and figure out which side of the law are they on. Are they with the emperor with no clothes? Or are they on the side of law and order? Are you a Mitch McConnell Republican? Or are you a Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, Ted Cruz style Republican? Which one are you going to be? Mike Johnson. The lesson to be learned is the Empress. They've had it. They could, for the longest time, they could have their cake and eat it too. They've been able to sit back and play both sides of the fence. So long as they were trashing Democrats and liberals, they could do whatever they wanted. And their base didn't mind the hypocrisy because they were busy owning the libs. Well, now it's in the House. Now the divorce is happening between the Emperor and the Empress. Which one are you going to be? You going to support the man with no clothes? Or are you going to support the one that has conservative ideals? Here's the divorce. Here's your divorce court lawyer, the judge right here. The Emperor and the Empress are getting divorced. How funny is that? The Tower. Yeah, the split's coming. This is a split. This split is pretty much inevitable at this point. And again, all the major arcana I've got in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major arcana in an 8-card reading. Yeah, they should have seen this coming. The black pillar and the white pillar are separating. The whole thing's coming down. This is the demise of the Republican Party. Now, I would say this for the Democrats. You have to be careful about extremism in your own party. Because likely what will happen with the Democrats is that there will be a division as well. Why do I say that? Well, the Republicans happen first because they've been gerrymandering and using voter suppression to stay relevant. And in order to stay relevant with that, you have to be more and more extreme. You know, you got to be more conservative and more Republican than the next guy, because when you've gerrymandered and voter suppressed, your primary is the most important race, because you've already cheated and put your finger on the scale for the general election. So you don't have to worry about your Democratic opponent. You have to worry about a primary opponent. And the only way you're going to lose the primary is if somebody more extreme and is more appealing to your base. I mean, it's not somebody less extreme, somebody more moderate, because, well, they would vote for the Democrats if that was the case. So now if the Democrats suddenly have a big majority in the House and the Senate, they got to get a lot of stuff done. But if you have a big majority, the progressives are going to push to get a lot of progressive agenda items done. Because you've got the majority, push as hard as you can. I get that. But there will be a backlash for that. And if it's not pushed enough, some of those progressives might say, well, then I'm not going to support this because I want more than what you're willing to give. And then they become intractable, and then they're not part of the team anymore. Because just like the far right, the far left don't want to compromise. They want as much as they can get while they can get it. And this is the same thing the Republicans went into. The Democrats, it won't be as fast because they haven't been cheating. They haven't been gerrymandering. They haven't been voter suppressing. But it's just a slower process. You have to find that balance. Whether we like it or not, 30 to 40% of this country is rather conservative, and pushing the country forward with open-minded liberal agendas causes 30 to 40% of the population to really feel uncomfortable, and they really want to dig in their heels. So you have to sort of be cognizant of that as you drag them into the future. It's like having a dog that's not done sniffing that bush yet. You know what I mean? And you're pulling them, and they've got all 4 brakes on. I'm not, and pulling back with their head. I'm not done. I want to smell that bush some more. Come on, there's great bushes up here. You dog owners know what I'm talking about. Okay. So yeah, the Republican Party is in disarray, to put it nicely. What is the future? Let's see. Let's look at the future of I'll do a challenge rating. We'll do conservatives and MAGA over here. Conservatives, MAGA, what's the big challenge that they've got coming up here? What's going to be happening? It's decision time. Which laundry are you going to wear? The red or the red laundry? For the conservatives, it's betrayal and heartbreak. They had a party that was united, and they were always in lockstep. And to have the extremists, that they invited the extremists in, the evangelicals, the Freedom Caucus, they had conservatives, evangelicals, Freedom Caucus, the three of them together, united, were able to get stuff done. But now you have at least one, if not two, are going to be pulling out here. Again, united we stand. United, the three of us together, we got stuff done. We could do things. We could resist Obama and his horrible policies. And then we can enact our own archaic policies, like taking away women's rights and stuff like that. Happy days. Let's bring it back to the 850s. Page of Swords. It's funny. The conservatives look at like the MAGA faction as a bunch of young fools who don't know what they're doing. Again, it's like, how could you not see that together we could get stuff done? Why would you leave us? Why would you betray us? Why would you, who doesn't know what you're doing, suddenly want to be in charge? Dunning-Kruger effect in full motion there. And then here underneath it is the star. Here's the divorce. Yeah, okay, fine. You guys go your way. There's no future in you. You're just going to pour this water onto the grass. You're going to spread out because you're not united. You don't have a common goal. Your common thing is Donald Trump. In the minute Donald Trump is not a pool of water. You can't dip in and pull out another Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the land here. You hit the Donald Trump and then you kind of spread out and then that's it. And eventually there's no way to pull this out. This is your conservative values. This is your cult of personality. Now, for the MAGA folks, what are they looking at here? Win, 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 baby. They're tired of winning. They don't need those other, again, the three swords. We don't need these other losers. We don't need evangelicals. We don't need conservatives. We're on Team Trump. We got everything we need to win because we're all about winning, baby. Fine. It's like, if you guys, it's kind of like the MAGA like to make things crazy. The more chaos, the better, because that's what Trump's all about. So it's like, oh, you're not interested in the chaos? Well, go ahead and leave. Get out of here. We don't want you here. We want to rock the boat. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. This is kind of like the Rhino card. Get out. We don't need you here. We're enough on our own. They like to message. Yeah, so this is messaging. This is like over the internet's, this is your social media, your TikTok, your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that. The Trumpers love broadcasting their message. They want to get their message out quick. There's no substance to it. It's just reactionary stuff. And they want to move quickly. I guess you better, because Donald Trump's almost 78 years old, and he's not going to be around for much longer. Yeah, and they're just crazy. They just have crazy ideas. They don't think things through. And that's, funny. Here's the Two of Wands underneath here. This is the preparing, looking towards the future. This is preparing. This is thinking things through. Planning out what you're going to do next. These guys, they don't plan anything out. They believe whatever's put in their cup. And if it's in their cup and in front of them and they're told that that's not a fish, that's a cup of fine wine, they'll say it's a cup of fine wine. They're just crazy. And they will kick out anybody who doesn't match their crazy. No, this party's going through a divorce. This party is going through a split up, and I don't know who's going to get the kids. I know who's going to get the kids. The conservatives will get the kids because there's more of them. And again, it's a cult of personality. Without Donald Trump, without your star, Donald Trump there ain't nothing to MAGA. Who's going to replace Donald Trump? There's nobody to replace him. I know. Oh, Ron DeSantis will replace him. DeSantis is an asshole. That's what he and Trump have in common. But he's not charismatic. Ever hear the guy laugh? You never hear Trump laugh either. But that's because if you heard Ron DeSantis laugh, you probably don't want to hear Trump laugh, right? Or whatever that awful cackle that he has. Another thing that somebody threw out there, interestingly enough, when was the last time you saw Trump happy? Where he actually was happy. Not mugging for the camera or giving a little fist pump or something like that. When was the last time? I don't know if he is capable. It seems like he's not even capable of being happy. Just having a good day and just being happy. I don't know. It's a hard life that guy has. Again, a little bit of empathy for him, because think about having Fred Trump as your dad and watching how he abuses your mom, and your mom, having a bunch of other kids and just not having the emotional bandwidth to handle you and your needs, and you learning all the wrong lessons with no consequences your whole life. Nobody. You probably start lying as a young kid, because the real world isn't really working for you, so you have to create a fantasy world. And in your fantasy world, there's no love, because you have no idea what that feels like. There's no happiness. You don't know what that feels like. You can fake it, kind of, sort of, and there's no humor. Picture a life where there's no joy or happiness, love or humor. And you've got Donald Trump. The Brits noticed it first. They said they've never seen Trump laugh. They've seen him mock. They've seen him ridicule. But they've never seen him genuinely laugh. Like he has no sense of humor. And sense of humor is very important to them. You've never seen him happy. He smiles and shows teeth, but it's not a happy smile. I just posted up a video of my two cats wrestling with each other. I guarantee you, some people watching that were smiling. And just like, oh, this is so cute. Look at those two wrestlers. And maybe even laughed at the antics of those two. He has emotionally nothing. It's a zero. It's multiplying by zero to him. He's like, okay, yeah, whatever. Why am I wasting my time at this? What a joyless world he lives in. So, yeah, you can want horrible things to happen to him, and I get it, because he's done horrible things, and you want horrible things to go back. But his whole life has been horrible. Even when he finds women, Miss McDougal comes to mind, who actually maybe really like him for who he is, he doesn't know how to treat them, because everything's transactional to him. It's sad, and none of us want to be there. Well, none of us want to experience his life review from his point of view, because you can imagine how horrific that's going to be. All right. I pontificated long enough on this one. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your likes, shares, comments, everything you do to feed the YouTube algorithm so the video makes it out to a wider audience. To that audience, welcome to the channel. I hope you found this reading insightful. And again, if you want to see more international videos, check out Tarot of the Seven Seas. If you would like to see more political readings, but with identical twins playing off of each other and laughing a lot, check out Twin Tarot with Gary and David. Again, I'll have links in the description. There's also links in my community page. And give it a look and see if it floats your boat. All right? Thank you very much. Take care.